1985 with an old 8088 IBM. And man, 486DX and computers back in the era when you had to manually set jumpers. You had to manually set CPU, God, what's it called? Frequencies. You had to manually set the megahertz, the multipliers, yeah. There's a jumper on the board so that you had to get set the multiplier. And if you didn't set it right, your computer just would not work. Sometimes it wouldn't even boot. So there were a lot of stupid things like that. You had to first set the jumpers, make sure everything was plugged in right, jumpers were set, multipliers were set. And then you had to go into the BIOS and manually set everything as well. And then you could go in and install your operating system, which was DOS, and manually type in all the codes that you had memorized. CD space, CD backslash, format, star to affect everything. Old school, good times. Back when there was no system overhead for running games. You did not have to worry about wasting memory running Windows or whatever operating system, because DOS was basically nothing. Didn't have crap running in the background. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing was you just had to make sure that the PC games that you were playing were actually written to support the hardware you were running. Like, you had to be very careful about making sure your computer was up to spec, the CPU speed, the amount of RAM, the speed of the RAM, somewhat. Hard drive sizes weren't as big a deal as tiny hard drive sizes. I mean, not even a megabyte. But mostly things like if you wanted sound, most people use Sound Blaster because computers did not come with a sound card on them. You had an internal PC speaker that sounded horrible, and Sound Blaster was kind of fun anyway because it came with the Parrot and Dr. Spaetzo, which is one of those programs where you type in words and the Parrot would like parrot it back to you. I think my wife said that one of her uncles or extended family is the one that developed the Parrot. So that was kind of cool. And then Dr. Spaetzo was basically this really dumb psychologist type app that would ask you questions and you would type in answers, and then it would basically answer you stupid things like, well, how does that make you feel? So it was cute for the time. Nowadays, I'm sure there's still stuff like that on the web, but not really stuff that they bundle in with hardware anymore. And you don't really have to buy even a sound card nowadays because most of the onboard audio is pretty good. I mean, my laptop came with like 7.1 surround sound via the USB port for plugging into the like 2 or 3 stereo mini plug ports. So it's pretty, kids nowadays with their newfangled machines are pretty damn spoiled. Like I had to troubleshoot all kinds of shit as a kid, and even had issues where like my now wife, back in high school or college, we were dating, and she had issues with her computer, like blue screening and freezing up and shutting off for no apparent reason. And it turned out that in college, a lot of people would bunk their beds and have like this little desk area underneath. You'd have 2 bookshelves, one on either end, the headboard and the footboard. Lay the bed over top of that, and then this long board would plop down between the bookshelves to make a desk. Well, with the bookshelves facing outward, you have this flat surface, and she would tend to put her computer flat up against the bookshelf. And fan all the way back. So there was not a lot of room on the side or in the back for air to vent and go through the computer. And it was just one of those kind of off-the-shelf, small mom-and-pop computer shop computer builds that doesn't have a monster processor, heatsink, and fan on it. That was another thing, man. Older computers, you really had to have these huge, I guess you wouldn't call them huge by today's gaming PC standards, but you had these big heat sinks with big fans on them to keep the CPU cool, because the older electronics, you're pumping a lot of voltage through them, and they ran very hot. Modern computers, yeah, laptops will cook your legs, but oh my god, you're running much faster speeds at much lower voltages, and they don't get nearly as hot. They just have kind of a big heat sink that goes through the laptop, and that's what ends up heating up your legs, because it's spreading the heat through the entire chassis of the computer. So this desktop didn't have any kind of big-ass heatsink that would go across the motherboard like modern motherboards. So you'd get a lot of heat buildup in the CPU itself, so you just had to manage that with good airflow and the best heatsink you could fit on the CPU. And the cheapy computers you'd buy at the store for like, oh man, cheap computers back then were like $1,000. Maybe $600, $800, but that was like a slow, non-gaming PC. And they came with these little cheapy fans, little cheapy heat sinks, because they weren't expecting you to do a shitload of multitasking. But in college, we were like browsing the web, typing reports for classes, watching maybe a movie, and super low res movies back then too. And listening to music, and had tons of stuff loaded. So anyway, our PC was overheating, causing that issue. So just amazing how far technology has come. Now we've got little cameras attached to our helmets that record in resolutions that are 10 times what they were 10 years ago. So that's pretty cool. So wow, that went way off topic. So yeah, Kolka.